No, not at all. What should I do? It's what we expect to happen. But I want our people to be very calm. I want Biafra land to be calm and peaceful. Calm and very, very peaceful. We are fighting to defend our people, not to kill them. Yes. We are fighting to defend them. That's why I'm here. I will continue to do so until we get victory.
Hello, dear friends. Good to have you again on a Saturday, the 17th of September 2022. Today is weekend, and today is our special fundraising day. We are fighting to liberate our people. We are fighting to free our people. That is what our leader said. Biafra land must be calm. And the purpose of the fundraising is to make sure that Biafra land is calm. The only way Biafra land can be calm is through the ESN, because the ESN will fight to ward off the enemies. Remember, we are having internal enemies too. Another Nzama group has been constituted by Muhammad Abbas and his team to fight the ESN that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu himself actually constituted. Now you can see now that we have an evidence that they actually are not in control of the ESN. And so the politicians whom they are working for, remember they said they have repented from being terrorists. That means they have repented from fighting for freedom, because in the sense of Nigeria, those who are fighting for freedom are terrorists. And now Muhammad Abbas and co said they have repented from being terrorists. They are now with the Nigeria government. Anytime the Nigeria government refuses to call you a terrorist, or the Nigeria politicians, it simply means that you are doing their bidding. That means you are doing what they want and you are in line with them. So definitely it's a proof now that ESN, they have on their own proven to you that ESN is not in their control. You can see the outfits they have opened or they have been constituted, different from what Mazi Nnamdi Kanu stood for, and proof that they are out to fight Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. I welcome you to this live broadcast. My name is Kelechi Ambrose, and this is Biafra Global Network. Please share this video to all your social media platforms, and please subscribe to this channel so that we can get more messages to our people. Today, we're looking at the intent of God in relation to tithing and in relation to funding ESN, the place of tithe to the funding of ESN. The place of tithe. Our people have been very, very confused about what tithing really is. And of course, it has been made worse by the shenanigans that is coming from different altars, different places of worship, or different ministries where they are told different things about tithing. They make them to believe that tithing actually is a law that must be adhered. And then if you don't do it, you are going to be getting the wrath of God. You're going to become poor. And then also you are going to also become cursed. Now, of course, these are errors that have been taught to our people. But sometimes we have to come up like this to really talk about it once a while, because we are the children of God. Biafrans are children of God. And when it comes to furthering the mission of worshiping God, the true God that we worship and serve, and we have to talk about critical things that are used to mislead our people so that our people can lose focus and insight to what they have been called to do. Tithing is a very critical aspect of the Old Testament worship, style of worship. Of course, we know Abraham, the patriarch, and who actually, when he returned from defeating the 5 kings, he met Melchizedek, who was the king of Salem. Then Salem is actually Jerusalem now. The Jerusalem, used to be called Salem. Then it was still in the hands of the heathens, and it was not yet taken over by Israel. Salem had a king called Melchizedek, and Abraham was returning from his defeat of the kings, that he fought against 5 kings, and then he met king of Salem, who is called Melchizedek, and he gave him tithe of everything he made from the war. Those days, when you go to war, you defeat the enemies, you take everything, you loot them, you plunder them, you take everything that belonged to them, especially things that are valuable. And so Abraham was returning from taking the valuable things from that war and that victory that he had achieved and gained through the help of God. And he met the king of Salem, And the Bible calls him a righteous man. If you read the book of Hebrews, you see also explanation about the king of Salem. The writer Paul of the Hebrews, of the book of Hebrews, actually made some explicit explanation about the king of Salem in relation to Christ being the type of Melchizedek and all of that. I don't want to go into those details because we have not come to actually do a Bible teaching stuff. But I want to make you understand something here. I actually have a call important, but I just have to go on with this podcast because I wouldn't want to delay you, and I'll make that call later. Now, as what Abraham did, he did it out of his own personal understanding. He didn't have any command to actually pay tithe or give tithe to King of Salem. He did it out of volition. That means he felt it was the good thing to do, to give 1/10 of every loot, everything that he got from that fight and battle. He gave 1/10 to the King of Salem as a sign of worship. Remember, when he met the King of Salem, he fell and worshipped. The King of Salem brought bread and wine, signifying of course, the Bible talks about he being a type of Christ. Christ also giving us the flesh and the blood, giving us the bread and the wine as a representation of his flesh and his blood. So that is a representation of what the King of Salem actually represented, or is represented now through Christ, who is our Lord and Savior. Now we see it here now that Abraham actually gave tithe of all. That means 10% of what he actually brought from that loot and gave it to Melchizedek. He was not commanded by God to do it. He was not forced to do it. He was not cajoled to do it. He was not under any obligation or any law to do it. He just did it as a sign of worship. He actually gave them to him, to the King of Salem, as a sign of worship to God. So first, tithing is a concept of worship. It is not a concept of a law to put people under bondage, or curse people, or to curse their finances, or curse what belong to them. But somebody will say, but Malachi chapter 3 verse 10 talks about curses upon those who don't pay tithe, or those who don't give their tithe. I'm going to come to that. That is where they have used to hoodwink and deceive our people deviously from most altars. 99.9% of altars have put our people in bondage by making them believe that when they don't give their tithe, in fact, they call it pay. They say it's not a given. It's not a given. It's a pay. That means it's a debt. You must pay it. They have made it to look like tithing has to do with a debt, that you are owing, and if you don't pay it, you're going to go to hell, and of course you're going to be cursed. Your funds and your finances will go down. You will be under curse. Now I want to ask this question: the richest people on earth today are not Christians. They are not paying tithe in church. Of course. Some of them are Jews. They don't pay tithe to church. But even most of people, China today, China is not a Christian country. Majority of them are very rich. Are they paying tithe to churches? No. The answer is no. So why is their monies or their finances not going down? Why is it that they have not become poor? Because they are not paying tithe. Somebody will say, once you become a Christian, it begins to apply to you. That's fallacy. Because God says that he allows his rain to fall on both the wicked and the righteous, so that they can prosper together. The Bible talks about, if you look at the scripture, where I think in the book of Proverbs, is it chapter? I can't remember the chapter now. Sorry, I've forgotten. Sorry, so many things in my head. The book of Proverbs, where David was. The book of Psalms? Sorry, David was telling the sluggard, or the lazy person, to go to the ants and observe the ants. They labor to make their resources. He never said that they should go and observe the ant paying tithe. No, he never said that if you don't pay tithe, even if you labor like the ant, you will not make resources. You will make whatever you want to make, because God has made it that everybody can make anything they want to make, as long as they understand the principles of success. All you need to make money is to understand the principles of success. It's not to give your life to Christ, or it's not to be a born again. Being born again is good because it saves your soul and it makes you do the right thing, and it prepares you for the kingdom to come. But it doesn't actually have anything to do with your finances, because your finances work by principles. Financial success comes by principles. Anybody can apply financial success and they will achieve success, because the financial success with the principles go with the blessings of God. The blessings of God goes with that principle of financial success that actually blesses anybody who actually obeys the principles. So whether you are a sinner, whether you are an unbeliever, whether you're a Christian, whether you're a believer, if you obey the financial principles, you're going to be blessed, because God has already given blessing in the act of engaging in labor. God has already, of course, what we mean by labor is doing something, engaging in something that is productive. That's what we mean by labor, not suffering. Labor simply means engaging in something that is productive. So the ant labors and they get the result. The ant doesn't need to be anointed or to be born again to get that. Every animal created in life, created by God, goes into action to get their daily bread. Every animal feeds, and they don't need to be born again. They don't need any extra anointing to be able to find food when they move out. The same way also, when you do the right thing, you'll be blessed. Now, it is an obligation when you are blessed to give. That is why the Bible says, give and it shall be given unto you. But now, in the context of giving, you must understand why you are giving. Because let me tell you something. I'm a pastor, so I don't think that I've come to castigate pastors because they're collecting tithe and offering. I've been a pastor from the year 2000, and I've pastored so many, churches, both their headquarters and branches, and opened fresh churches for some ministries in the zoo, in different states of about 4 states, in the zoo. And so I have done lots of things, in the ministry. I have also asked for people to give their tithe. The important thing here now is the need and why the tithe is needed and what it is used for. It is not the issue of the tithing now, because nobody is going to be cursed or blessed because they gave or didn't give tithe. Now, when the Bible talked about blessings and cursing coming in context of tithing, when it came to the issue of Malachi chapter 3 and from verse 9 down like that, and you read it, and the Bible is telling Israel that because you're robbing me because you're not paying your tithe. Remember, the reason why that scripture was made, you have to understand the context of that scripture in relation to what it applies to at that particular time. It is not a Christian it is not a Christian topic, or it is not a Christian verse. It is still in the Old Testament. It has nothing to do with Christian. Christian means the period of Christ. That particular scripture was quoted in the Old Testament, and then you must understand in what context was it quoted. It was quoted because the children of Israel started neglecting the Levites. Who are the Levites? If you remember when in Exodus, when the children of Israel were defeated, and Leviticus, Deuteronomy, and all those places where the children of Israel started taking over the land, of Canaan, and taking the place of blessings and all of that. The Bible tells us that the Levites were not given a portion. They were assigned to function as priests. That means their work is to guide the people spiritually, and their work is to serve the people in the temple. They had musicians. They have different kinds of departments in the clan of the Levites. Their job is to serve God by serving Israel. They serve God by serving Israel. They didn't serve Israel and to serve God. No, they served God by serving Israel. So God now took it as a responsibility, because the first point of contact is God. They serve God by serving Israel. So their service to Israel was actually the service to God, because they were actually engaging in taking care of the temple and engaging in the spiritual affairs and all of that. And God told them not to work. Don't give them any portion. He told Joshua, don't give them any portion. Don't give them any job, and don't let them work. Don't give them any land. They're going to be among the people. But because God knows that you need land and you need a job, you need something to make you work and be productive, He now made a commandment. These people have decided that they are going to be there representing me in you. They're going to be representing me and doing the service of what you need to do, the rituals you need to do to get to me or to worship me. And I don't want them to be distracted. I want them to concentrate. Now, they are not going to engage in regular work. So what you are going to do now as a people is that you have to be taking care of them. And the method in which you are going to be taking care of them is through giving your tenth of your income. Your harvest. It was not particular about money. The harvest of your crops and everything. There were different kinds of tithing. We have 7 years tithing. We have tithing of income and all of that. Different types of tithing in the Bible. We're not going to go into all of that. But I just want to give you a perspective, because I've not come to preach about tithing. I just want to give you a perspective of what tithing is, so that when you are applying it in the context of the New Testament church, the New Testament or the church age, which we are, and in the place of the ministries that we all are worshiping, whether Catholic, Methodist, Anglican, Presbyterian, Assemblies of God, Deeper Life, Mountain of Fire, House on the Rock, this present house, whatever place you are worshiping, you should understand what site actually represents, so that you will know the need and the interesting thing about tithing. Now, the Levites were told not to work. Their portion will be in Israel. Israel will feed them. The rest of the children of Israel, the 11 tribes, would feed them. They are not going to work. They are going to receive tithing because they are not going to work. God does not take tithe from you because he wants to eat or drink. God takes tithe from you because he wants to use it to solve a problem. So the problem then was that these people are not going to work. They're going to do the service of God in the temple. They're not going to engage in other works and all of that. They are going to strictly be on the payroll of Israel, the 11 tribes, the remaining 11 tribes. They are not going to be working. They're not going to be doing anything. Their job is to serve as priests, whether as musicians or as taking care of the temple. And we, of course, we have the priestly, and processes and ordination and levels and all of that. Of course, you talk about the holies of holies, you talk about the holy place, and then you talk about congregation. All these details have to do with the process of the temple and how it affects the Levites in their way of service to the people. So the work comes from the point of the holies of holies to the people, to the congregation, from the holies of holies to the place of the holies, and then to the people. So it was a service unto God on behalf of Israel, or serving God through serving Israel. So the focus or the subject is God, not the people. You understand it? So now, the reason why they had to feed on tithing is because they had nothing doing. God told them not to do anything, not because they didn't have anything doing, but because God said they are not going to do anything. Today, we have different churches having different business and organizations and enterprise and all of that. Today, they have schools, they have opened several things, they have extorted money from the people, telling them some of them are working, making monies, and having companies, having private businesses, yet they are forcing the people to pay tithe. They have made it a law, using the concept of Malachi chapter 1, chapter 3, verse 9, 10, 11, and all of that to cajole and put the people in that platform. Well, the reason why tithe is because it is meant to meet a need, especially when there is no other alternative for that need. The Levites didn't have any other alternative because they have been mandated by God not to work. So the only alternative was to get from Israel to feed. Also, the people who are today operating in churches, if tithe is going to be a function in the church or a service in the church, then the church leaders, every one of them, must not engage in any other business or any other function. And that's money. Or if they engage in any other business or any other function, that tithe that is collected must not be used by them. It has to be used for the people who are working in the house of God, or the poor in the midst of the people. If you remember the early church that was begun by Paul, the apostle, by Peter, by James, and all the apostles, actually didn't have the concept of tithing. They had the concept of giving. So the people gave according to their desire. That is why you see the concept of Abraham in the Patriarch. In the first instance, when he gave his tithe, he gave it out of his own volition. He was not commanded. He decided, I'm going to give 10%. The same way also when it comes to the New Testament. Remember, Melchizedek represents the Christ. It's a type. It's not let's say he represents still. He's not Christ, but he's a type. The pattern is the same pattern of Christ. Now, he collects a tenth. He didn't force Abraham to give him anything, but Abraham gives him a tenth, and he was satisfied with it. Now, when it comes to the church also, the people are to give according to the needs of the church. For instance, if there are so many people who are hungry, so many people who are, going through one need or the other, the situation here is that there's a need. So the tithe or whatever is collected, or the giving of the people is supposed to solve this. So it doesn't need to be a tithe, but as long as there is a contribution to give the people, when it is not a manipulation. But the concept of tithe now is a manipulating force now in the context of the present day Christian worship style. It has become a manipulation concept. It is not because the issue of tithing itself is wrong, no, but because the usage or the application or the intent now has become wrong. So the intent is wrong, but the intent of God for tithing is to solve a problem. Now, as a nation, of God's people, representing the church also and the Jews, which we are, Biafra nation, which is the intent of God, just like the nation of Israel, the institution of tithing to solve the problem and to secure the people. To secure the people, secure the temple, to fund the people, fund the temple, and fund the function of the temple and the security of the people. That was what the tithe was used in those days for. The intent of God for tithing is to solve a problem. Now, what is the problem of our nation today, Biafra? The problem of our nation now is security. And we have people who have volunteered themselves to become materials for the security of our nation. We all cannot carry the AK-47. We all cannot be around there trying to wade the Fulanis and their killers away from us. We all cannot be in that platform, or cannot operate on in that dimension. But we all can function in that dimension by how we can support this activity which God has ordained. So just like God ordained the Israelis, to have the people whose job is to serve the people in the temple, in the place of worship, and also to feed and to take care of those ones, because there are different functions in the house of God and to the nation of Israel was so versatile, and that they needed to be secluded. They needed to be secluded to do the job. Today, we have people who have volunteered, leaving their families, leaving their husbands, leaving their wives, leaving their children, leaving everything good thing they have to enjoy, being in the bushes and seeking to make sure that Biafra land is secure. They have said that this is the nation of God. This is the nation of God's people. These people of God must be secure. So now it is not in the place of the people now who these people are working for, because these people are working to get us secure, serving God by working to make sure that we are secure. Because when we live, when we are alive for God. So they are securing us through the help of God, and their service is unto God through serving us. And what is the responsibility? Just like the intent of God is for tithing. Tithing is meant to solve a problem. Tithing is meant to solve a problem. Now, it must not necessarily be tithing, but we are looking at the concept of tithing now, which should be at least the basis of giving. So, which means that you can give more than 10%, you can give more than 20%, you can give more than 30%. It is all about the value of what you have and your worth and ability. So now that we have ESN, Eastern Security Network, instituted to take care of the need of Biafra, and also to make sure that we as Biafrans are able to access, victory and our freedom. They are doing a lot, working a lot, and doing all of that. They have left their works, they have left their families, they have left their income and labor work and all of that they have to do to feed themselves and all of that. They have left all of these and they have come to serve the people of Biafra. All we need to do is also to play our role by funding them, which means that tithe you are taking to all those places of worship where most of these pastors, when they travel everywhere, they buy private jet, they live flamboyant lives. When they go to preach somewhere, they have a girlfriend lodged in a hotel waiting for them, or they have from those congregations they get. I know what they do because I'm in the system. I know what happens. 98% of the churches and pastors and all of them are actually deceiving the people. 98%. I am not mincing my words. 98% of the people are manipulating and extorting the people. And they have to make that law because they know that if they decide to leave it open, you might give less than 10%, or you might not even give at all. So they make it a law that they make sure, however give and take, you must give something as long as you receive your salary. As long as you get an income, you must give something. So they have made it a law that tithe can bring you curse, and tithe can bring you damnation and all of that. God was actually telling Israel to give to the people because the Levites were serving God through the people. The pastors we have today have their businesses, but the Levites were not having their businesses. So God instituted tithing to take care of them, take care of their families. They were doing a lot. They were doing a lot in security. They were doing a lot in the worship of the temple. They were doing a lot for the people. But God actually, of course, instituted the concept of tithing to take care of them. Now you have to understand why tithing is. The intent of God in relation to tithing is that it solves a problem, fundamental problem in a nation, not in a place where people have decided to open an organization, register it under the government, and call it one name, something ministries. God, blah blah blah, and they name it that, and then it is registered as a with the Corporate Affairs Commission in the zoo or wherever it's registered, and then they now get small money wherever they look for money, and then they now buy microphones, buy everything, and set this stuff and put it somewhere and start preaching, and then they begin to tell you that you are cursed if you don't bring tithes to that place. No, the concept of tithing is for national service. When God instituted tithing to the people of Israel, he instituted it for national service. It was not for private businesses and enterprises. So when you have different churches or different ministries, they're not churches because the church is the people, ecclesia, the people. So of course, when you hear that I will build my church, it is talking about I'll build my called out ones. The word my church there, is actually the Hebrew, the Greek word ecclesia, which means my called out ones. So I'll build my called out ones. The church is the people. So now these ministries, these people are opening, are not the church. They are only institutions, organizations where the church come together to worship. Now, the reason why God instituted tithing was for national service, was for national solutions, to solve the problem of Israel's collective responsibility in the concept of worship of God. So the Levites were actually instituted not to do any job, not to do any work, but to be there to serve God by serving the people. The same way now we have the ESN, they are here to serve God by serving us. They are there to secure us. They are there to secure our land. They are there to secure our children. They are there to secure our wives. They are there to secure our businesses. They are there to secure our husbands. They are there to secure our relatives. Some of us are abroad. They are there fighting in the bushes. They have left their comfort. They have left everything that is important to them. And they are somewhere fighting for the cause of our freedom. National service. So tithing is meant to be utilized for the concept of national service. That is it. You can give to the poor, you can do everything to the poor, but tithing is instituted for national service. When Abraham, who is the father of a nation, of the nations of the world, got into a national service of defeating kings, because he was on the way of producing a nation that God has instituted, he gave a tithe after a national service. After a national service. Tithing is for national service. That is the intent of God, not for anybody just standing up now, just feel that they are hungry or they don't have any business doing. All they do now is just to go and register and look for a means. If they're not registered yet, don't have money to register, just look for somewhere, talk to somebody or somewhere, or somehow rent a shop or rent somewhere, buy a microphone, buy an offering box and put it there, and then begin to tell you to bring tithe. That is not the plan of God for tithing. Never, 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 never. It is not the plan of God. It's not the intent of God for tithing. Where somebody's hungry and then you go and pick up a microphone. When you don't have a job, you go and pick up a microphone. When you don't have something doing, you go and pick up a microphone. No. Tithing is significant to national solutions. That is why God instituted tithing. God instituted tithing for national service. Abraham was on a national assignment when he defeated the kings. When he gave the tithe, he gave it as a national responsibility to the nation God has called him to institute. That is in the realm of the future, that is in faith, by faith. That is why the book of Hebrews talks about Abraham, by faith. He did this, he did that by faith. He gave that tithe in view of the national service that he has carried out for Israel. For Israel. National service. For the future Israel, or the nation God has called him to be, to beget. National service. So Abraham was able to do that because, and also it sets the pace for us to understand what tithing is about and the basis of tithing. It sets the pace. Tithing is not a private business organization and all of that for business and all of that. Tithing is meant to serve a national purpose. That is why you must look at it in the realm of BIAFRA, a national purpose. When God's people are in captivity, tithing helps to secure those who have volunteered to help restore normalcy and to bring back the nation. When Israel was scattered abroad and everywhere, all over the nations of the world, there was no means. God moved kings to give, God touched the heart of people all over the place to give. When Israel was together, God touched the people to give towards building the temple. So tithing was actually used at that time to make sure that the Levites keep on worshiping God by the service they render to the people. That is the same way God has also instituted tithing in this time. So today is ESN fundraising. Some of you have been looking. It's already coming to the end of the month. I'm going to get once they give me my salary, I'll take 1/10. If I don't do it now, I'm going to be cursed. So I'm going to take 1/10 and go and pay tithe in church. For God's sake, don't be manipulated. Don't be manipulated. So okay, if they give me tithe, once I receive my salary or once I get my business, my money for this week, my business, this is my tithe. I keep my tithe. If I don't give this tithe now, I'm going to be cursed. My business will go down. It is a big lie. Tithe does not take your business down. China is not paying tithe. They are making money. Business responds to principles. Even if you refuse to pay tithe today and pay it the next 1 year, and you obey and follow the principles of business, you will make money. You don't need to be born again to make money. You just need to understand the principles of the business that you engage in, or the principles of business generally, to be able to make out something. Tithe does not make you poor. Paying of tithe or not paying of tithe does not make you poor. So don't be deceived. But tithe is important because it helps to solve a problem. And of course, when you give, God blesses the work of your hands. That's it. That doesn't mean that God will now give you. That doesn't mean that once you, some of us, that's how we do. Once you say, okay, tithe, and God, I'm looking forward to a miracle. You now start dreaming of one big thing. God will release something. God just cause one magic to happen for one thing to happen. It doesn't work that way. Tithing sustains you. And tithing has a purpose for it. It is for national service. So even if your church or the place where you worship, the ministry where you worship has something that they are doing that your tithe is necessary for, good and fine. There's nothing wrong. I'm not saying that the concept of tithing itself is wrong to actually apply in cases where there's need, especially when that need is not out of desperation. Where somebody doesn't find work now, he now decides to tell you that he has been called by God. Those ones are desperation. But where people have genuine calling and God instilled that calling on them, and then there's a need, not just because you want to build cathedrals. That's not a need. You say we have 50,000 capacity cathedral. Now we want to build a 200 capacity. That is not a need. That is not a need at all that affects kingdom. You will see in the midst of the people who actually are going to be given towards this 200,000 capacity or 1 million capacity building. These people are poor, hungry. Some of them need attention. Some of them, after paying the little they are paying, these monies are used to institute and build schools, and that makes money for the ministry. This ministry is in the name of the GO. This school is in the name of GO. The business empires they are building, the different business empires they are building, is in the name of the GO. But yet, these people who have given the little they could at that time, just like the widow's mite and all of that, given what they can give, are not able to even send their own one child to that same school that their tithe was part of building. Doesn't that tell you something? Doesn't that tell you that something is wrong somewhere? It is an exploitation process. It's an exploitation mandate to exploit. Very simple. Just go and register a name. Something global ministry, something God's ministry, something church, something and deliverance ministry, and then just begin to talk to people. Definitely, when you talk to people about the Bible, people respond, and have a good talking ability. People respond. It's as good as that, because naturally, as human beings, we are attracted to religious beliefs because we have a life as human beings that we don't even know the source. So a sentiment of where our source is that can be religiously exploited would drag our minds into that realm of belief, because we don't even know the end from the beginning as human beings. So some people can create. That is why you see that people create religion out of mystery. Because mystery is enshrouded in the concept of creation. Creation is an evidence of mystery. Nobody can tell how it happened. So it has placed us in that point where we just come into a world and we see things already existing, and we are concerned, we are very inquisitive, and we are decided and trying to probe into matters. That makes and creates a question in our hearts. How did all this thing come about? Somebody now designs, a religion out of that concept of mystery, using mystery as creating a ministry for themselves. That ministry now exploits the concept of mystery, which they too don't understand. That's why sometimes if you see what they do privately, you know that these ones may not even be born again. Some of these pastors, some of them don't even have faith as you have, because you are operating in that clear conscience of, oh, I'm going to worship. Oh, I believe. They tell you what they tell you in the scripture, you believe. But they also look at it and they don't even know what they're preaching. They don't even know what they're saying. So they do evil, more evil than you, because they actually know that what they're doing, they don't even know what they're doing. So out of mystery, they create ministries, because they know that mystery poses a puzzle to humanity, and humanity will always respond to anything that talks about mystery. So when you create a concept of ministry and you make everything out of it, you actually will have the attention of the people. So because of this, that is why you see that people belong to different kinds of religion. And based on the dictates of that religion and what that religion has preached and indoctrinated the people with, they operate in that dimension. That is why some people can call themselves jihadists, terrorists, because they have allowed themselves to be indoctrinated by a pattern of religion using the sentiment of mystery, that realm that is unknown. So that realm that is unknown becomes the table or the tabloid or the platform or the template of floating or presenting that religion or that ministry. That is it. But we have to understand all of this, as people who are wise and people who are called to understand what it is. Mystery can only be interpreted in the concept of what is revealed to us. At this point in time, what is revealed to us is that we need freedom. I saw the other time, one of these lady, it was her name. I can't remember her name. I always forget her name. That was very agile during the NSAS stuff, used those period to constitute nuisance and all of that for her selfish ends. And then she's from Delta State also. She also started, now she's projecting for Peter Obi and telling people to come and contribute 2 billion naira so that they can actually campaign fund for Peter Obi, because they know they are the ones who are going to manage the funds, and they will tell you that they have spent so amount for posters, so amount for t-shirts, so amount for face caps, so amount for bracelets and all of that, and so amount for logistics, and so you can't question it, and they are the ones who are going to manage the 2 billion and make their money. So whatever happens after, they can again, if Peter Obi does not deliver, they will come again and start. You see, the people are evil. We have tried the evils. They have refused. They are evil. Everybody's evil. So now let's go. Now we're going to take another candidate. Maybe this time around, let's take it from Yoruba, a young Yoruba man. The sentiment to keep milking and making money every 4 years. If you are a true activist, then you must be a very sound student of history. If you are an activist and you are not sound in history or the details that make up what your activism represents, then you are daft. Then you are only a criminal. You are a criminal because you are staying in the guise of activism to exploit people. Why do you need the soundness of history? It is in the soundness of history you understand the root of what you are fighting for, what you are going your activity of activism, what it represents is in the foundation of what you are actually carrying out your activism on, or what you are pursuing through activism. So if you go through history and you don't understand that Nigeria is not supposed to be existent, and you don't have the basis of understanding, psychological understanding, and an intuitive understanding, and even an intelligent understanding, your intelligence quotient is so low that you don't understand what Nigeria pretends and what Nigeria represents, and then you are there, then you actually are living you are not an activist. You are a cheat, a criminal. Every activist must have knowledge of what so your activism must be based on truth and not misleading the people. But when your activism becomes a source of manipulating the people to keep embracing what is killing them for your own selfish gains, you're wicked. You're a criminal. You are a criminal. That is why we are surprised sometimes at these people who call themselves activists or professors or intellectuals, in the concept of the zoo called Nigeria. Because all they do is exploit the people. They don't have much information. They don't have what it takes, because they actually preach what is actually killing the people. They preach it to the people to keep embracing it. These are the things we have to deal with. These are the things that must be dealt with. Today is ESN fundraising. We're calling on every one of you, wherever you are, as much as you're a Biafran, whether you're a Biafran or not, you're a lover of freedom, and you know that Biafran nation freedom would also impact you, impact your life, and in life, and impact the Black nation. Then you must come all out this time around to make sure that you offer your service for the freedom of the Biafra nation. You must offer your service for the freedom of Biafra nation. And that service is to give today, by 7 p.m. Biafra time today, the ESN fundraising will commence. Please come all out, especially if you have it. For those of you who don't have it, God will provide for you next time you're going to be part of it. Make history. Make history, because the target here is that there will be no election in 2023, and we need money to enforce that. Because our men, our gallant men, will enforce that. You have to fund ESN to end Nigeria. You have to fund ESN to end Nigeria, because Nigeria is the killer of our destinies. Nigeria is the killer of our children, killer of our future. But to end it, we need to fund ESN. That thing you pay to those places where they said their ministries. The most important thing now is to fund your security. When you are secure, you can have a very conducive atmosphere to worship. Look at what happened in Owo, in Ondo State. If there was security, would those people have been killed? Most of them are Biafrans who died in that place, because we love worship, Biafrans. We are very, very dedicated worshippers. But we worship in ignorance, because we don't understand what comes before what. Most of them who are giving money today, who are funding Boko Haram by paying ransom to Boko Haram when they're kidnapped, when their friends are kidnapped, increasing the economy of these terrorists. When you tell them to come and fund ESN, the security that will help them to save them from being kidnapped, or their family members from being kidnapped, they think you want to exploit them. Now it is obvious now that Muhammad Abbas, Chikedozim and Co. are not in charge of ESN. You can see now, so you can tell now, how has ESN been existing all this while, or continuing existing? Because ESN is being funded by the monies from the contributions of Biafrans. So that tells you that the monies that are coming through the Umada, through Mazi Simon Ekpa, and all of that is being judiciously used. That is why you see ESN actively there. Judiciously, very used judiciously. That is why you must keep funding them. Now they have raised their own team outside Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, outside the command of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Who gave them the right? But because they are working for their new masters, Soludo and the Caliphate. Those are their new masters. Working with them means that they are no more terrorists. But working with Mazi Nnamdi Kanu means that they are terrorists. So they have chosen the path of working with these politicians so that they will not be called terrorists by the politicians, so that they can make money from the politicians. This is the period to make money. They have actually sold a leader, and now they have to make money out of it. But because we are more than them, we must take action. We are more than them. How many are they? Our ESN outnumber them. We still have more volunteers coming. Over 100,000 able-bodied men out there. The politicians are trying to carry people. We understand this, but we are telling you we have won them. If we see you with a shirt, that cloth, that thing they are wearing called, say they are a security outfit, you are going down. Because if you have allowed yourself to be used against the freedom of God's people, you will go down. You will go down. Because the spirits of Biafra will take care of you. When Pharaoh was doing all those shenanigans, flexing his muscles, he felt he was in control. He felt he was in power. But the multitude of the hosts that belong to the spirit of Israel, the spirit that is guiding Israel and leading Israel, was more than Pharaoh's host that he thought he had. Never knew that the host that was with Israel was more than him. It only dawned on them fully, even after all that was being done, it dawned on them fully when they now were drowned in the sea, the Red Sea. The same way also, you see the way the enemies are going down, one after the other. As they are bringing them into our land, they keep bringing them, they keep bringing them, another battalion, they keep bringing another legion, they keep bringing them like that. Like that, they tell you they are sending this to Biafra land, they're sending this number to Biafra land to secure them. You hear them, they are coming. They don't tell you that they are going, they leave. They keep bringing. All you hear is that they keep bringing. Where do they go? Ask yourself. The spirit of Biafra is dealing with them. I don't know why people don't learn from the past. People don't learn from the failures. You can never defeat the spirit of Biafra. So it's better you join and make it work. But whenever you have a devious attitude or devious spirit, a spirit that is evil, the evil spirit will always enter you. Because the spirit of Biafra is meant to liberate Biafra, to get the right people into it. And the evil people now gets destroyed by it. So it allows the spirit of evil to enter into you, to destroy you, so that you don't enjoy the benefits of Biafra and don't become part of what is coming. These are the things we're talking about. This is evidently what we're saying. So you must understand this. You must understand this. Very, very, very important. So your funding of ESN is very, very important. Our men need food. They need bullets. They need guns. They need several kinds of weapons. They need some basic things that will keep them strong. They need all of this. And it is only the resources that we have that will sort all of this. It is your money, my money, our collective contribution that will help them. You might not have the millions, you might not have the thousands. Even if it's 100 naira, that's 100 naira that you have, and you know that is what you can afford, it will go a long way. It will go a long way. That is why we want you to be part of this. That is why we're calling you into this. That's why we're asking you to be part of this. Whether you're in the zoo, outside the zoo, of course, you know the website. You can pay through the website to secure yourself so that the zoo government does not roll you. www.ipobinusa.com, not www.ipob.com or something. It must be complete. www.ipobinusa.com, because they have started .org, sorry, not .com, sorry. You can see it on the screen. You can see it there now, www.ipobinusa.org. And the main reason why that fundraising is taking place is to end slavery. To end slavery, to free Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, to sustain the funding of Eastern Security Network, and to get us our freedom. And by this time next year, we would have succeeded in getting our freedom completely and building our nation. So I'm talking to you right now, people are doing great works on the ground to see that once we get our nation, we start development very quickly. So you must understand that your function and your responsibility is to be part of the fundraising today. Please talk to people, talk to your friends, whatever. You can contribute as a group if you don't have much, if it's too small. Get your friends and people around your community, your friends, contribute 100, each person. You contribute and all of that. And then you gather the monies and then you pay. You can give your group a name. Friends from the community. You may not mention your community because before you begin to trail you. Just friends, the able Biafra friends, or the Biafra force, the Biafra force. You call yourself a particular name, give yourself a unique name, a code name. Biafra unity, Biafra strength, freedom desire. Just just compose a name from the freedom desire or from the freedom team. Just put it there. The freedom team is given this. It becomes your contribution for your freedom. It is meant to free you, free the generation to come, secure the generation to come, and to put your name in history. Be part of history as we restore our nation. You see it there on the screen. It does this for you. It frees you. That little money you give will free you, free your children, secure your life, secure the life of your children and relatives, secure your future, and then put your name in history as part of those who made sure that things worked out. And things worked out for the people. That is why we're doing what we're doing. And I want you to be part of this. Talk to your friends. Be part of today. Be part of the fundraising. Don't fail. Give for national progress, national success. That tithe that you have from your business, wherever you are doing your business, whether Ladipo, whether Alaba Market, or wherever you are, what kind of business, or you are a salary earner, that tithe is meant for national issues, to solve national problems. These people are volunteers, just like the Levites. They are volunteers. They feed from what we can contribute. The same way God told Israel to feed the Levites. They are not working. Your church pastor is working. He's doing business. He's making money from every angle, from the school and everything. He doesn't need your tithe. Because the tithe, how many of the church members are being helped through the tithe? They use it for building structures and all of that. And then they now buy some food stuff, do some stuff to make it look like they are actually using your money for. They are not actually working for you. They are working for themselves. They are using you. It is very important. Most important thing is for you to put your money where you know that is significant. Very significant. And freedom is the most significant thing. It's the priority now. So wisdom thing demands that you put your tithe, your offering, whatever you want to give. It may not be a tithe. Whatever you want to give into www.ipobinusa.org to secure our freedom to fund ESN. This is the time. Don't miss it. This is the time. Don't miss it. This is the time. Don't miss it. Our freedom is important, and our freedom will come through you, through the service you render. Some of us are functioning in different departments, different groups for the purpose of this freedom. Continue in that good work. As money comes into your hands, remember to give to Biafra. Remember to fund Biafra. Remember, what we do and the actions we take qualify us to be part of the blessing that comes after we execute those things that we do and the actions we take. To enjoy Biafra, you must contribute to it. That is what the Spirit have said. That is what the Spirit of God says I should tell you. That is what the Spirit of God is directing me to tell you. To enjoy Biafra, you must sacrifice to make it come. You must be part of it. We are all doing our sacrifices in different ways, including financially. As God blesses us, we will do. If God has blessed you so much, do more than any other person that can do around you. The more you do is based, the more that is accrued to you is calculated by what you give, the worth, the value of what you give, not by how much you give, but the value of what you give. Somebody can have 2,000 naira as last in the account, and they give 1,005 to the cause of freedom and have only 500 left. They have given more than somebody who has 1 million and gave only 10,000. That's the truth. God bless you. Very good. And you must understand that God of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Elohim, has spoken through me to you and telling you, go give that tithe, go give that donation for the freedom of yourself, your future, your children, your relatives, and for the freedom of the nation of Biafra. Very, very important. And he's waiting on you to do that. He's counting on you to do that. And together, we shall get our freedom. Please subscribe to this channel. Share this video far and wide that people will hear and understand what it means to be part of freedom. And God bless you wherever you are. And make sure you share this video and like this video. And also, subscribe to this channel to support the work, and to also make sure that your support is through getting other people to be enlightened. Because when you subscribe and you share, you get other people to see what we're doing and to understand what you're doing and to be part of this. And it teaches them wisdom. Thank you so much. See you next time.